jump into this, because if you get up early right here on Fox 58 on Mondays, you can catch up a show called The Issue Is. Mr. Elex Michaelson joining us to talk about the world of politics, especially here in California, and what's going on with his show. Elex, by the way, thanks for coming on. You take extra time in your life to do this interview for us, so we really appreciate it, man, you coming on this morning.
Well, any excuse to talk to you is worth it. So I take any opportunity I can get.
Oh, shucks. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Let's focus on our governor, Governor Newsom. He went to South Carolina this week, and he says he's not running for president, but it looks like it. And I bring this up because we had this poll yesterday here on Eyewitness News. I'm going to read it to you. Should Governor Newsom run for president? We asked all of our viewers, and an overwhelmingly 85% said no, he shouldn't run. What's going on in South Carolina?
I'm curious about the scientific nature of your poll.
Well, it said over 500 people voted.
Okay. What's going on in South Carolina? Well, he claims that he is not running for president. On Monday, I asked him at a news conference, are we still at sub-zero interest in running for president? And he sort of laughed and said Jesus, and then didn't answer the question and claimed that I was smiling, and his team said last question and tried to move on. So there was a moment in that South Carolina event where Jim Clyburn, who's the most powerful congressman in the state, whose endorsement helped Joe Biden become the nominee in 2020, was standing there with Governor Newsom and said, as we meet the candidates for president, and looked over to him, and Newsom sort of looked like, who, me, what, huh? And it was, everybody just sort of laughed. So this weird thing of I'm not running seems to not be really happening when he's clearly running. I mean, he gave us a hard time on Monday for being cynical and suggesting that this was a campaign stop, and that he was just going there to talk about disaster relief for California in a very sober way, and then you see him doing campaign stop after campaign stop. But it's interesting to see the reaction to him, talking to a lot of the reporters that were there on the ground, Aaron, some of them saying, look, crowds really liked him. I mean, there were big crowds that lined up. People were excited at the concept that he's a fighter. They are so desperate for somebody to fight back against Trump that they like what he's saying. But also, a lot of the folks there in a more rural, more Republican part of South Carolina were a bit concerned about California's reputation as a progressive state and wondering if that is something that's in line with their values. So he's trying to do two things at the same time. Well, three things at the same time. One, pretend he's not running for president in California. Two, actually run for president in other places. And three, try to be both a fighter and also be a pragmatist at the same time.
Yeah, you know, it's a good point, because the progressive policies that California has is definitely outweighs some of the other states across the country. I can just reference my family, people who live in Arizona and in Ohio. They always reach out to me, how dare you live in California? Because don't you know how expensive things are and the way the taxes and stuff work out there? So people are always conflate California differently across the U.S. So it is interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we just had, the first ever Democratic presidential nominee from California, Kamala Harris, and it didn't work out so well. And so that's something that other voters across the country could be concerned about as well.
Interesting. Didn't think about that. Now, this week on The Issue Is, coming up this Monday, you do something different. You get away from politics. You're talking about Major League Baseball on Fox. And I got to know, first off, are you a baseball fan?
Of course.
All right, then that's good.
I am a big baseball fan. I'm a fan of the Dodgers most of all, but I also am a fan of sports coverage. I love doing sports. I think I love doing sports more than I love doing politics. So this was a real joy and a real treat that we went behind the scenes for Major League Baseball on Fox as they mark 30 years. So we got a chance to go to Dodger Stadium as they were playing the Yankees and go behind the scenes with their pregame show, which is Kevin Burkhardt and Elex Alex Rodriguez and David Big Papi Ortiz and Derek Jeter and talk to those guys. We got to talk to the guys in the broadcast booth, Joe Davis and John Smoltz, the Hall of Famer. We talked with Ken Rosenthal, the reporter in the dugout. We look at the best moments over the years, the way that the current players love this particular crew, because so many of them grew up idolizing this particular crew. We look at the history of Fox Sports with Joe Buck and Tim McCarver and others. And so it's really fun and cool to sort of look at how this is all put together and the fun that they have, especially Big Papi, who's such a comedian on that show. So this was a lot of fun. It's a break from all the divisive politics towards the thing that brings so many Americans together, our national pastime, baseball.
Yeah, and it's perfect timing too, because next week is the All-Star game. And so you have, that's going to coincide directly with it, which I think is great. I am sorry that you're a Dodger fan. I'm a Diamondbacks fan. But it's only because I grew up in Arizona. I was a huge Dodger fan because I didn't have a team. I didn't have Diamondbacks. And then in '97, I got the audition for the Diamondbacks. I got to the second round of auditions. It didn't make it. It was or '96. It was that first year that they had auditions for their opening team. So they're in my heart. But I'll give you the Dodger. You're an LA guy, so that totally makes sense. Yeah,
and we got more experience winning here, but that's okay.
And you're like in first place by over 10 games, so there's that too. Elex Michaelson, man, we really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great time enjoying the All-Star game coming up.
Yeah, Tuesday on Fox, and that is a big part of why we're doing this particular timing, to get everybody excited for the All-Star game, which airs right here on
Did you
Fox.
bring any baseball cards, by the way, to get signed? I mean, you're with those guys. Did you hey, well, can you sign my card?
I did not, but I did get some epic selfies.
All right, there you go. Well done. Elex, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.